You're 22. Rent is due Friday. Your checking account says $43. You're sitting on a mattress on the floor of a one-bedroom apartment you split with two other guys. Laptop balanced on a milk crate. Ramen water still boiling on the stove behind you. This is not the beginning of a movie. This is Tuesday. 6 months ago, you had a job. Good job. Health insurance, a 401k match, a manager who liked you. You quit anyway. Everyone told you that was insane. Your mom called you twice a day for a week straight. You didn't quit because you had a plan. You quit because you noticed something nobody else was looking at. Small businesses around your city were bleeding money on software they didn't understand. Bookkeepers charging $400 a month to do what a simple tool could do for $40. You saw it at your uncle's auto shop. You saw it at the diner where you used to eat breakfast. Same problem, everywhere you looked. So you built something. Ugly first version. Held together with free trials and duct-taped code you barely understood. You taught yourself to build it from YouTube videos at 2 in the morning, the same platform that's playing this video right now. You didn't have money for a lawyer, so you used free templates. You didn't have money for an office, so you worked from a public library that closed at 8. You didn't have money for ads, so you cold emailed 40 business owners a day. 40 every single day. Most didn't reply. Some replied just to say no. Most of the 40 didn't even open the email. You watched the little tracking dots stay gray day after day and told yourself it meant nothing. It felt like it meant everything. Rejection at that volume does something to you. It either breaks you or it makes you numb to the fear of it. And numb was the version you needed to become. 3 said yes. 3 customers, $40 a month each. That's $120. That's not a company. That's gas money. But you didn't see it as gas money. You saw it as proof. Someone paid you real money for something you built with your own hands. That feeling doesn't leave you. It changes how you see everything after it. You kept your expenses lower than anyone your age. No new car, no new phone. You drove the same beat-up Civic your grandfather left you, the one with the check engine light that never turned off. You ate the same 5 meals on rotation because you did the math once and never forgot it. Every dollar you didn't spend was a dollar you didn't have to raise, didn't have to explain, didn't have to owe anyone. 3 customers became 11. 11 became 40. You were still doing support yourself, still writing code yourself, still answering emails at midnight because a customer in a different time zone had a problem and you didn't want to lose them. You didn't sleep much that year. You told yourself it was temporary. It was not temporary. It was the job now. You hired your first person around then, not an employee, not officially, just a college kid 2 years younger than you who answered support tickets for $15 an hour, paid out of your own account before the business account could cover it. You remember the exact moment you sent that first payment. It felt bigger than any dollar amount you'd make years later. It meant someone else believed in something you'd only ever believed in alone. At 2 in the morning on a library computer that shut down at 8. At 40 customers, you hit something ugly. The product broke, really broke. A server crash wiped a week of data for your biggest client, a landscaping company that had just signed a yearly contract. You didn't have a backup system. You built one in 6 hours straight, apologized on a phone call that lasted 40 minutes, and gave them 4 months free. They stayed. That mattered more than you understood at the time. That mistake taught you something no course ever could have. You started building like the business already had 1,000 customers, even when it had 40. That decision, made in a panic at 2 in the morning, is the reason the company didn't collapse 2 years later when it actually did have 1,000 customers. Somewhere around month 14, revenue crossed $10,000 a month. You still lived like you had $40. Same apartment, same Civic. You put almost everything back into the company. A second laptop, a freelance developer for 20 hours a week, a slightly better website that didn't look like it was built by a guy on a library computer because it was. People started noticing, not investors, not press. Other small business owners, the exact people you'd cold emailed a year earlier, started referring you to their friends. Word of mouth is slow, and it is also the only kind of growth that doesn't disappear the moment you stop paying for it. By year 2, you had a real decision in front of you. An investor wanted in. $200,000 for 15% of a company you built alone with a milk crate as a desk. Your first instinct was to take it immediately. Your second instinct, the one you listened to, was to ask what that money actually bought you that customers didn't already give you for free. You said no, not out of ego, out of math. You didn't need the money yet. You needed customers, and customers were already paying you to build the thing investors wanted to fund. You said yes 18 months later on your terms at a valuation 9 times higher because by then the business didn't need the money to survive. It needed the money to grow faster than it already was. That difference is the entire game. Nobody explains that part. You learn it by almost giving away your company for less than it was worth and catching yourself right before you did. The team grew. 5 people, then 20, then 80. Each hire felt like handing someone a piece of the thing you built alone in a library. And every time you flinched a little before you did it, because letting go of control was harder than earning the money that made it possible. You moved out of the apartment, finally, into a place that had actual walls between rooms. You kept the Civic for another 2 years after that, mostly out of stubbornness, partly because getting rid of it felt like betraying the version of you that built this from nothing. There were months revenue dropped, and you didn't tell anyone how scared you were. There were nights you sat in your car in a parking lot because the office was empty and you didn't want your team to see your face after a client left. Nobody posts that part. Nobody puts the parking lot on camera. Somewhere in there, you stopped checking your bank account like it was a threat. You still remember the exact date, not because it was dramatic, but because it wasn't. You opened the app out of habit, the way you used to, braced for bad news out of instinct, and there wasn't any. You sat with that feeling for a long time. It was quieter than you expected. Nobody warns you that the goal, once you actually reach it, mostly just feels like relief. By year 5, the company crossed 8 figures in revenue. That number used to feel impossible when you were counting out 3 customers at $40 a month. Now it was a Tuesday. That's what growth actually does. It doesn't feel like winning. It just quietly becomes normal. And the thing that used to feel impossible becomes the baseline you build the next impossible thing on top of. Year 7, an acquisition offer landed that valued the company at just north of $1 billion. You read the email twice. You called nobody for an hour. You just sat there in an office with actual walls, thinking about a milk crate and $43 and a mother who called twice a day begging you to get your old job back. You didn't do it alone, not really. You did it with 3 people who said yes when everyone else said no, with a landscaping client who forgave a mistake that should have ended you, with a Civic that refused to die at the exact moment you needed it not to. But you started it alone, with nothing, on a Tuesday nobody was watching. That's the part people skip when they tell the story. They skip the 40 cold emails a day that got ignored. They skip the ramen. They skip the fear of checking your bank account before you check your phone. They jump straight to the billion like it appeared. It didn't appear. It compounded, slowly, quietly, 1 paying customer at a time, $1 not spent at a time, 1 night you didn't sleep at a time. You're not special because you had money. You didn't have any. You're not special because you had connections. You didn't have those either. You're just the version of you that sent the 41st email on the day everyone else stopped at 10. That's the whole story. That's the whole difference. Not talent nobody else had. Not luck nobody else got. Just 1 more email, 1 more night, 1 more no you refused to accept as final.